Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. I hope you guys have all had a wonderful day. We've just had news that Palantir Technologies has been awarded a major contract expansion with the U.S. Army worth hundreds of millions of dollars. We can see the deepening ties and relationships with the government and these contracts that are starting to basically roll out on a daily basis, it seems like. We're going to be getting into the details about this and talking about its price action because we're continuing to see a little bit of a sell-off along with headlines and more bearish articles talking about insider selling. Could we see a continuation of this with a lot of hype behind Palantir being priced in, or will we see a rebound? We're also going to be talking about tomorrow, Wednesday, the Fed is going to be releasing their decision on interest rates. Expect some volatility in the market, and we'll be talking about some other key big players in the market, such as Tesla and Nvda, experiencing some volatile times. Now, if you're a new or returning viewer, we're getting close to 21,000 subscribers. Hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now, before we get into the price action, let's talk about this new award of this contract with the Army Vantage system. You can see here, this is a notification, and the government has approved a justification and approved for other than full and open competition and awarded Palantir here for its continuation of software as a service model of Army Vantage software developed by Palantir to meet the governmental requirements. Now, Palantir here is the sole supplier with no authorized resellers and holds proprietary rights. Army Vantage will have a 12-month period of performance with an additional 5 to 6 month options plus a 6-month option under the authority here of extended services. This total contract amount is worth $400 million, holy Toledo, and should all options be fully exercised as proposed, the contract ceiling is at $618 million. This is incredibly bullish for Palantir in terms of its business fundamentals, its revenue, and keeping me bullish that Palantir will continue to have some good earnings calls. We've seen them really beat expectations quarter after quarter in the last few years here. But Palantir is being set to these really, really high expectations. I mean, we can see that in the price. So seeing these large governmental contracts keeps me hopeful that Palantir will continue to surprise and surpass Wall Street's expectations. Now, if you look here on the actual price action, Palantir is down about 1.8% and even another 1.5% in the after hours. Right now, after hours, it's sitting at 73.27, basically right in the middle of this consolidation zone. And one of the big questions is Palantir does have some support at the $70, and that's kind of a psychological point for Palantir too. We could continue, depending on what's going to be happening with interest rates. We'll be talking about why that is key for tomorrow's trading action. We could continue to see a little bit of a pullback. And the reason being is because across a lot of the headlines today, what we're seeing is a lot of insiders that are selling. We see the CFO, we see the CTO coming out here with selling. We've seen filings from Alex Karp, the CEO himself, selling. And this is not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion. You can see here talking about recent insiders transactions. People are doing their homework, looking to see what the actual transactions are, talking about big pullback coming. Insiders are going to sell all the time, especially when Palantir's up this high year to date. I mean, it's been on a rocket since the beginning of the year. So insiders selling, and they're only basically selling a fraction of a lot of their shares, even though they're worth millions of dollars. This could be due to many different reasons rather than, hey, what do they know that the public doesn't? Other than that, it could be doing for tax reasons, capital gain reasons, many different reasons. Insider selling, I've always typically seen that with big companies that are really starting to explode. I mean, profit taking, that is not necessarily a bad thing. What it does, though, cause is it causes some fear and uncertainty, a doubt across the market, especially for people that are really emotional in the market, really brings a lot of uncertainty to them. That, I guess, is really just doing with your own due diligence, making your own wise decisions on what you want to do with your position. But other than that, that's what we are seeing. So generally, people are talking, you can see more bearish articles here talking about our expectations finally getting priced in. What they mean by here is that Palantir, we saw that join the NASDAQ 100 index. Of course, this is an incredible milestone and achievement, but some people are starting to predict that the actual trade or the pricing in has already been played out since Palantir originally, not that long ago, had switched from the New York Stock Exchange to the NASDAQ. We basically know why this move was played out. A lot of the investors were anticipating and hypothesizing that, they're trying to get included into the NASDAQ 100. And we saw with the recent price appreciation led by more multiple expansions, which basically this did play out. And now we're in terms of this reality. And you have the whole psychological kind of idea of buy the rumor, sell the news. And could the news just being sold right now? This does not necessarily mean that the momentum behind Palantir is completely out. However, when we do see a pullback in Palantir, I think it will be strong. Just due to the fact that we've seen Palantir absolutely catapult. But for people that are waiting to get in on the sidelines, been waiting for a long time, that don't want to buy Palantir at these prices, those could be great entry opportunities depending on what people's timelines are. So right now, yes, the risk for downside potential is pretty high. Personally, my own opinion, I wouldn't enter in a position at this price. It's just something I personally wouldn't do. I would probably be waiting for a pullback if I wanted to get into Palantir in terms of a position. Now, looking at what the market is doing, what we're having in terms of anticipation, one of the big things for the broader market is the Dow Jones is actually continuing to slide. I haven't seen them be green in a while. NASDAQ here and the S&P 500 all come down about 0.3%. The Dow, though, falls for the 9th straight day. Its longest slump since 1978. Kind of an interesting fact, especially with a really resilient and bullish economy right now. Some weird things are going on in the market. But what you see here, Dow Jones falls about 0.6%. Like I said, longest daily losing streak since 1978. You have some of the big large cap stocks, Magnificent Seven stocks. You got Nvda falling about 1.2% here. Broadcom, remember they had a big explosion in terms of their price actions from their earnings quarter results, sliding about 3.9%, probably just giving back some of those huge gains. Amazon, Google right here losing ground. Tesla, though, gaining another 3.6%. We'll be talking about that. And we see healthcare stocks actually here under some pressure. Humana comes down about 10.2%. Now, talking about the big market watchers this week, this is going to be the conclusion of the Federal Reserve's, their policy committee, and the actual meeting, which is expected to cut its benchmark interest rate as it did it in September and last month. That is being pretty much fully priced into the market. Investors are expecting about basically almost 100%, 99% confidence that we're going to see a reduction in the interest rate. So if that does happen, I don't see a ton of volatility, just more confirmation of what could be happening into next year. What more people are going to be looking at, I think, in terms of the highlights, are paying close attention to what the Fed is actually going to be saying after the meeting on Wednesday about the health of the economy and the outlook for rates in 2025. What's the forecast for rates? Are they going to continue their rate cut cycle? Are they going to put it on a pause? That's what investors are starting, and the market is starting to kind of believe, is that they're going to put it on the pause after we've seen 3 consecutive rate cuts and some pretty strong rate cuts. But with that being said, and in terms of the rates right here, this is going to be a big gauge in terms of the economy's resiliency and its health, what could be the forecast into next year. So that's what I think is going to be more important than the actual rate cuts. What we see with Tesla jumping here another 3.6% like we saw, and Tesla doing very well at $479. It is up 80% here in just the last month, basically. And Tesla is seeing large price target boost from some of these analysts. You can see right here, Wall Street analysts says that there's more room to run, and one particularly had increased their price targets from $230 to $515. And now we're seeing even some people that are predicting Tesla could hit $600 by the end of next year, by basically the next following year. Now, what we're seeing is talking about here the loosening regulations of autonomous driving and with Elon's ties with the new administration that will be entering into the White House, and how this could be bullish for Elon having a strong governmental tie, and of course loosening regulations. Typically we see a little bit of hesitancy with EV stocks in terms of this new administration taking over, but Elon is kind of an outlier, and that's how Tesla is going to be influenced or looked at as possibly an outlier. Could be doing very well into 2025. What we do see is Nvda coming down here and is actually going into more of a technical kind of correcting factor. Nvda down here at about $130. We'll see if we see any rebound or support at that 130. But Nvda here sank 1.2%. They say on Tuesday. I don't know if you call that sank. Continuing its downward spiral. Basically, what some people are predicting is, could we see the actual fuming of artificial intelligence spending? Could we see that calming down a little bit? And also market capitalization from other big AI companies. Talking about this here, Apple is going to be working, of course, on their AI stuff. And what we see here, Microsoft, Google indicating their AI spending will grow at a slower pace. And you also have the whole skepticism on the Blackwell AI server, stoking fears on further delays to the production ramp up. And that's basically one of the big constraints for NVIDIA is its supply chain limitations, is the demand is so high, but hey, they got to make the chips. So that's what we're seeing. NVIDIA coming down here. Nothing big crazy, though. That's all I have for you guys. What do you think about all this with Palantir? Think we're going to see a further correction coming here in the near future? Or do you think Palantir will have a reversal? Peace out, take care, and I'll catch you guys later.